Good morning and welcome. It's July 15th, 2024, and we've got a brand new week ahead of us full of market tumult, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. We got earnings season that's heating up. We've got all of this news. We've got, all of the craziness that happened over the weekend to factor in. So it will be no shortage of, I feel like volatility induces events this week. Absolutely packed weekend. And you guys know our drill, though, right? Regardless of what happens or what attempts went on or, what laws got passed or AI developments happened or whatever, each and every Monday we're here. Each and every market day, we're here before market open around 8:45 to 8:50 a.m. for the pre-market prep session. On Monday, though, is very, very important because that is where we lay the groundwork for the whole week. We go over the week ahead as well as our Monday specific news. So Monday, that deluxe session, the deluxe pre-market prep session is always very, very important because otherwise you just go into the week with absolutely no game plan, right? You're free balling, you have no idea what to expect, and when you don't have the correct expectations, that's really when you blow up your account. Right. It's not when you place too many, I got this trade wrong and then this happened and this happened. No, generally, as long as you are aware of what's going on, you have the correct expectations, you have a system that's proven to work, you'll be fine trading in markets, right? But if you don't, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going to pop in and see what's going on, events will catch you off guard. You'll get destroyed in a sympathy earnings play. You might overtrade on a week when you're not supposed to be over trading. So all of that can play into it. And that's why this Monday session is so important. Now, our top news here for the week ahead, which is what we're going to start with, then we're going to go over our economic calendar and then our Monday specific news, right? We're here to do one thing only, which is get 1% better daily. So drop those ones in the chat, whether you're watching live or via replay. And make sure to do these things, right? Set this intention over yourself. You can get lucky, right? By saying, oh, I'm going to, just come here and I'll do, some of the things and I'll place the trades, but I'm not really with the whole mindset thing. And I'm not really with the whole declaration thing and setting my intention thing. That will manifest over time, right? Even if you say, oh, I had a good week, I had a good 2 weeks, I had a good month. Over time, you will not be able to sustain it if you don't do the small things that contribute to the mindset necessary to be consistently successful in markets. There is no other environment that humanity faces like the stock market. There's a stock market in space. That's it. So unless you've been to space, you have no idea of how to operate consistently in an area where the nature of that area is infinite, right? Which means that our emotions, every single neurological pathway in our brain, right? Every single neural pathway in our brain has been wired based off of experiences within a closed finite range, right? The market is not that. There is no limit to how high stocks can go, how much profit you can get. And theoretically, to the downside, yes, there is a limit, but realistically, it's almost like the limit does not exist, right? Because certain stocks, if they just drop all the way to zero, that's like almost unlimited profits. Like it's crazy. If you have puts and let's say something like Nvidia goes to zero, or God forbid, SPY or something goes to zero, almost unlimited profits. Nowhere else do we have experiences like that. So we have to make sure each and every day that we come in, we mind the little things, we set our intention. Otherwise, if you're like, oh, I made $5,000 this month, but or maybe last week, but I'm finding myself struggling, but you think you're above those small things, that will manifest, right? So commit this Monday to doing all the little things, all the cheesy things, all the things you think you're above doing, right? Because if you were operating in space and they're like, hey, make sure you do a systems check all those little things, you'd be like, yeah, I'm going to make for darn sure. Otherwise, I'm going to be very, very humbled by this environment. The same thing in markets, right? The markets will humble you very quickly, and it'll be the little things that you patch up that will cause you to rise back up and level up. So, with that in mind, let's go into the week ahead. Second quarter, the spotlight this week will shift somewhat to the second quarter earnings season from the Federal Reserve and monetary policy. Market watchers will receive results from several major names, including Dow 30 companies like Goldman Sachs, United Health, Johnson & Johnson, and American Express, along with streaming giant Netflix. The Fed will still garner some attention as traders will be keen to hear from a jam-packed slate of central bank speakers just ahead of the pre-monetary policy meeting blackout period. In terms of the economic calendar, after a fortnight of labor market and inflation indicators, activity data will pick up in the form of the latest retail sales and industrial production reports. Now, in terms of earnings, Goldman Sachs reports today, BlackRock reports today, their ticker is BLK. Tuesday, United Health and Bank of America, as well as Morgan Stanley and PNC report. Wednesday, Johnson and Johnson, U.S. Bank Corp, Kinder Morgan, United Airlines, and Ally Financial all report. The banks always kick things off, so they'll be first. In the earnings season. Thursday, Netflix, Abbott Laboratories, which I feel like is, worth keeping an eye on there. Abbott Laboratories, Blackstone, ticker PX, and Domino's Pizza, DPZ, as well as Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM. Anything related to that semiconductor space, people are going to have eyes on. So TSM will be the first out of the major semis to report. So I'm sure that there will be some chatter around that. And then Friday, American Express and Halliburton. So some well known, right? Some household names reporting this week that are definitely worth keeping eyes on. We'll look to execute on our post earning strategy this week, as well as watch a few different long positions that we have that report over the course of the week, whether that's in the banking sector or a number of different tickers from the AI sector, right? That we went over for Kaizen. We've got different names that we're in long term that are reporting. So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on those, but also remember, if you have time, even if something annoying happens, as long as you've got time to make that move up, you're all good. That's not saying that, going into earnings, right? If you go and you say, I buy this call so far out, I'm talking about like particularly if you've had the call and you're like, should I hold it through earnings and you've had it for a while? Stick with that long-term game plan, right? Earnings happens regardless. You don't have big money that takes all of their money out because, a stock goes into earnings. So if there's something that you love long-term and on the weekly, on the monthly, it looks amazing. I wouldn't pull out just because of earnings unless you haven't taken profit and you've got good profit, trim some and then swing the rest through. Volatility watch. Let's see. Anything worth? I'd say maybe given this week's events, there might be some volatility in what is it? For this weekend's events, there might be some volatility in what the heck? Oh, True Social. DJT is a ticker, right? That might see some volatility given Trump's close call over the weekend. Whatever you believe about that, things are very, very split. There's half the country that is super enraged that a former president they try to assassinate him, and they think that all the left is orchestrating this grand plan, and then the other side just thinks it's a complete farce, and that it was all made up. And to be honest, whichever side you're on is what you believe, right? And then there are facts to support whatever side that you're on. So it's just like, once again, I just choose to focus my time, effort, and energy on things that are going to continue to put food on the table for me, because there's solid evidence for both, right? There's solid evidence for both things, and uh, could it have been faked? Very easily. Doesn't matter that people died? Absolutely not. You think this is the first time that this country has orchestrated something in which people died, right? Look at the Tuskegee experiments and all that. There's plenty of times when people have been sacrificed for whatever agenda this country has. So like the fact that people died doesn't mean that it couldn't be a stunt. But also just because, it garners attention to the side that you're not on doesn't mean that it was a stunt too. So there's just a lot that goes into these things. Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't getting an important call. There's a lot that goes into these things, but I'm not going to put my mental capital toward it because at the end of the day, again, it really does not affect what's going on with me. So don't get caught up in the circus, is my 2 cents of it, right? It's crazy, wild news, but at the end of the day, we've got, market making activities going on. Don't be sitting there talking about Trump or talking about Biden, and you've got all these opportunities to make you money. And neither one, Trump or Biden, is going to put money directly into your pocket, today or anytime this week, right? So try and avoid the circus. It's gonna, it's fun to kind of the memes and all that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, make sure you're getting 1% better throughout this week. Um, Let me see here. But yeah, I feel like Rumble, and then because Rumble had a nice bullish chart set up. I feel like Rumble and then DJT could be something to keep eyes on in terms of volatility after this past weekend's assassination attempt. And I think in both cases it's sad that people are out here like making light of civil war as if that's something to cheer on, or like put up as a possibility. Donald Trump fine after shooting. This is in case you missed it. Arbor Realty stock drops after a report of federal probe. Short seller attacks. The top growth stocks ranked by Seeking Alpha analysts. Nvidia leads slide as investors rotate out of mega tech, something that we were on before it happened, and it paid very well with IWM. Goldman lists its top 25 taxable trades for earnings season. Update on UBS global list of stocks, and then Bill Gross, Tesla is acting like a meme stock. Bro, Tesla was the original meme stock, Mr. Bill Gross. Let's go in here and check this economic calendar for this week. We do that at marketwatch.com. Monday, July 15th, we've got Powell speaking at noon. So Powell speaks at noon today. That's how you know this week is already starting off spicy. Tuesday, U.S. retail sales, import price index, business inventories. Not really anything important happening on Tuesday. Some info at 10 a.m. So you might get, some short-lived volatility at 10 a.m. tomorrow, but no big, data drops. Wednesday, nothing really. Thursday, jobless claims. Friday, nothing really. So honestly, it's really just earnings and then Powell on Monday. I'd say that are the biggest parts of this week. So keep an eye on that bank sector. If you're involved in any bank trades, of course, which we have been because banks have been killing it. Just understand, the risk going in and size yourself accordingly and then move. There's no amount of information you can do that can make it a foolproof swing through anything. Right. So that's just part of it. But just recognize what you're in as well as what you're in might be exposed to, right? So if you're in, Disney and something happens with Netflix, Disney can move, right? Same thing with Roku, same thing with all these different streaming companies. So it's like understand that when you have other companies reporting, right, know that your company that you're involved in could be moving in sympathy. So just keep an eye on that earnings calendar for sure. Now let's get into our Monday specific news here. All right, so top news, and you already know the picture that they've got up here for the top news. It's the album cover of the century. Trump with the fist up and the blood on his face. Financial markets are reopening following an assassination attempt on Donald Trump at a weekend campaign rally in Pennsylvania. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Like, this is wild. I mean, we were having a baby shower for Bailey's sister, and it was like everybody was there from the family, like all different family members, and it was just crazy. Seeing all this unfold in real time. A bullet that grazed the former president's ear and could have had a very different result is still making headlines amid calls for unity to bring the country together. The shooting also came before the Republican National Convention, which runs from Monday through Thursday, kicks off in Milwaukee, with many analysts weighing in on what the recent spate of events can mean for investors. Bigger picture, the odds of Trump winning in November are seen as increasing following the attack, of course. I mean, again, guys, like, this is something that if you're here, you've been hearing me say this nonstop, right? I don't come on here and take sides politically. I just side with probabilities, and the probability has been in Trump's favor leading up to this event, and all it did was increase following this event, right? To further solidify, who was already the favorite coming into things. It's not because I favor him. It's not because I care about him. It's not because I favor the other guy or I care about the other guy. It's just based off of statistics, right? And that's how American politics goes. It swings like a pendulum, right? When Obama got elected, every, right wing person went and was like, ain't no way we're letting this happen again, right? We all got to get out there and we got to vote. And and that's what, then Trump gets elected. And then what happens? Trump gets elected. Everybody's outraged on the left. All the far left people come out and they're like, there's no way we can have Trump again. We got to put anybody in but him. And then Biden gets elected. And then what happens? Same thing, right? We go back, forth, back, forth. Statistically speaking, it was very likely that Trump was going to win from the get-go, right? And that's why you have kind of all this going on where we've got this immigration debate, and then we've got, Biden possibly trying to get these immigrants registered to vote in time for the election. Like, it's just they know the numbers too, so they've got to pull out all the stops, and we just see now, even more events happen that fall in line with the expectations. How did I have those expectations? Being here, getting 1% better daily, right? Understanding the little bits of patterns and information that really make up the life that we live in. And it's key to having insight into what happened. So I'm not surprised that something like this happened or anything else that continues to swing things in his favor because, again, this is just over the course of history has happened more often than not. Um, let's see here. So Bitcoin rose to levels seen in early July, climbing as high as 5%. Oh, let me go back to here. So the odds of Trump winning in November are seen as increasing following the attack, and some betting markets even show the House swinging in the GOP's favor as well as the Senate. Republican wins would likely result in extended tax cuts and hawkish trade policies like heavy tariffs. It can also mean looser regulation for hot button topics ranging from climate change to cryptocurrency, especially if a so-called red wave materializes. Bitcoin rose to levels seen in early July, climbing as high as 5% to 63,204 and pushing up other crypto related stocks. Stock futures were also in the spotlight, with contracts tied to the Dow and Nasdaq 100 ahead by 0.6%, and those linked to the S&P 500 up by 0.5%. Trump Media and Technology, ticker DJT, which is known for its meme qualities, can follow Trump related developments, also soared 71.5% to $52.95 and will likely be on the move for most of the pre-market session. Yeah, you can. I mean, the thing is, once the move occurs, like you can have that. Anything that you do involved with DJT at this point is going to be super high risk with high IV and very high theta. Going deeper, condemnations have poured in from across the political spectrum, but some high profile names in the business community formally backed Trump following the shooting. I'm going to formally endorse a real Donald Trump, Pershing Square's Bill Ackman declared, adding that full details will be forthcoming. Last time America had a candidate this tough was Theodore Roosevelt, Tesla's Elon Musk wrote on X. I fully endorse President Trump and hope for his rapid recovery. So, I mean, this, did a lot for the Trump camp for sure. But as soon as I heard the news, and then I heard that, like, I heard of the attempt, and then found out that he survived. That's pretty much curtains. Like that's essentially curtains at this point. It would take something very remarkable for him to not win this election at this point. I mean, you've got socials on your side, you've got all these different people that are coming out and like publicly affirming in your name. Like, you can't beat it. Donations going straight to the roof. So that was my first text, to the family group chat amongst this happening. I was like literally just donations, money going crazy. But it's sad in any case when anyone's life is threatened, right? It's crazy that people go out here and literally try to shoot people in public. And if that was the case, right? Because again, I don't know if it's real, I don't know if it's not real. You don't know if anything in this world is real now. If that's the case, it's sad. The fact that people lost their lives, sad, right? Real people lost their lives whenever that happens. It's worth mourning over. So thoughts and prayers with the country moving forward. And as always, only thing you can control is how your people move forward from it, right? So that's what I'm focusing on and what you should focus on too. Merger and acquisition news. Gee whiz, Google parent Alphabet, ticker Google, is reportedly in advanced discussions to acquire cybersecurity startup Wiz for roughly $23 billion. If completed, the deal would be the tech company's biggest acquisition ever and help boost its efforts in cloud computing, an important and growing business where it has lagged behind its peers. Yeah, they need this for the AI race, right? They need it for the AI race, and they really need it because of cybersecurity, which is a huge problem. Cybersecurity has been struggling, especially with the new innovations in AI, right? The people that are going to take the most time to learn how to use this are the ones that use it for nefarious purposes. And companies have been getting hacked out of the wazoo, right? AT&T over the weekend, literally every single AT&T customer ever, all of their data, including their messages, were breached. So if you have AT&T, every customer ever, their information was breached. The issue here is that, like I said before, you have an increase in actual genuine cybersecurity threats, and then you also have an increase in these companies claiming that they were cyber threats and then just selling the data, right? Those are the two big issues that you don't really know if there's real issues or if they're just selling that data, because that's the smartest thing for these companies to do. It's illegal for them to sell that data, right? If they say, oh, the data got leaked and someone Venmoed me $10 billion right after it, right? Sorry about the data leak. And it's just, oh, they're using that. They're going to go ahead, use that data, train AI models off of it, right? And and the AI race continues. But those are the two big things at play. There are real hacks happening, but these companies are also wholeheartedly just selling data. Because at this point, like the price tag, especially for companies that suck, like AT&T stock sucks, and they had they had a nice breakout a few months ago, and like now they're kind of flagging on top of that breakout, and AT&T is trying to get something moving, and maybe this is what gets it moving, right? But below the books or below the table selling of data. Um, let's see here. Any transaction would come at a time when antitrust authorities are scrutinizing the market power of Alphabet as well as other technology companies. Wiz's investors include Insight Partners, Blackstone, Sequoia, Salesforce Ventures, and Lightspeed. Yeah, this would be huge for Google. Again, right now, all the regulatory bodies are striking everything down. So to be honest, I think the only way this happens is if either they wait for a new president to be in office and a whole new swath of people, or they kind of just slow that process down altogether and they say, hey, this deal's going to happen, and then they just wait until the election is over and then they actually solidify it. But yeah, as of right now, like the antitrust scrutiny has been heavy, and none of these deals have been going through. I mean, just look at ARM, right? You remember Nvidia tried to acquire ARM. Imagine if they'd acquire ARM, like in how big ARM's valuation is now. Nvidia would be unparalleled. So global news, third plenum. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm going to say plenum. It might be plenum. The economy is on the radar as top Chinese policymakers gather for a meeting known as the third plenum. The assembly typically focuses on long-term issues facing the country and have resulted in sweeping reforms in the past. Hurt by a property downturn, weak domestic demand, a falling yuan, and trade frictions with the West, China's gross domestic product expanded by 4.7% in April to June period, according to official data. That represented a slowdown from the 5.3% growth reported in Q1 and also missed economist expectations. I would not be surprised if they try and do some type of economic pumping move during this third plenum, right? They come out and they've got these wide-ranging reforms to just try and pump their economy as much as possible. So even though the Chinese, all the Chinese names are super sketchy because again, overnight something can happen and everything changes, even though they are super sketchy, I think that we could, and especially because there's been some activity, in China tickers. I think this is something to keep an eye on. And let's see here, the economy's on the radar. They gather for the third plenum. I need to see exactly when that starts, but at some point this week, right? So that might be worth taking a look at these different Chinese stocks, those tickers, right? And then saying, okay, they have already this year, instituted measures in order to keep their economy afloat, which has really, really helped stocks, which rocket after that news happens. So we're on watch again here for China stocks rocketing this week based off of this third plenum meeting that has resulted in, wide-ranging changes in policy in the past. In terms of IPO news, bring home the bacon. The world's biggest pork producer has some big plans. WH Group, the Chinese parent of Smithfield Foods. Bet you didn't know that. Smithfield, right? The bacon, owned by WH Group, Chinese company, intends to float the company's business in the US and Mexico on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. WH Group bought Smithfield for $4.7 billion in 2013, marking one of the biggest takeovers of an American business by a Chinese company at the time. Smithfield was removed from the New York Stock Exchange as a result, but still owns popular brands like Nathan's Famous and slaughters about 30 million hogs a year. I don't know why they needed to include that last portion. Like that just seemed kind of I don't know, just like a very morbid thing to add on to the end of it. They still own Nathan's Famous hot dogs and they commit genocide of about 30 million hogs per year. Happy Monday. Like what? Yeah, but I guess they're gonna, try and list, trying to float the company's business. We'll see. I mean, I'm not super interested either way. It's just nice little anecdotal fun news. It was fun until they talked about killing all those hogs. Today's economic calendar in Asia, Japan closed, Hong Kong down 1.5%, China up 0.1, India up 0.2, the footy in London down 0.3, Paris down 0.6, Frankfurt down 0.4, the Dow up 0.4, S&P up 0.5, NASDAQ up 1.2. Crude down 0.1, gold flat, Bitcoin up 4.3%. Today's economic calendar, Jerome Powell at noon. It's the biggest thing going on. What else is happening? Ease, please. 7 points on why the Fed should start cutting rates. Despicable Me 4 leads the box office for the second week. Goldman challenges Fed's demand. Uh, it hold more capital. U.S. business bankruptcies hit highest level in 14 years in June. Not surprised. Uber and Lyft may have nothing to fear from Tesla's robotaxi vision. Again, U.S. business bankruptcies hitting their highest level in 14 years. Learn how to put your money to work for you in markets. Learn how to leverage AI. That's how it's got to be. And not just leverage it, but like implement it. Make it a core part of your workflows to make sure that you are the one human that can do 10 jobs, right? Instead of being replaced by the one human that can do 10 jobs, because AI will not replace you. A human that knows how to use AI will replace you, right? That's where we're at with it. And that's right now. It's not the future. AI is the right now. It is the current. Boeing, ticker BA, starts 7779 trials, marking key certification milestone. Supreme Court Chevron ruling may limit action on climate and maybe EVs. Burberry names Michael Kors boss as CEO, issues profit warning. Verizon, ticker VZ, sued by record labels for allowing copyright theft. Right? So that'll wrap us up, put a bow on it, and take us out for the first pre-market prep session of this week. We've got a very, very interesting week ahead. We've got a number of earnings, names that are reporting. We've got a number of good looks coming into this week. So let's execute, right? Let's resolve to get 1% better each and every day. Let's do the little things, right, that we may have fallen short on. We'll never get this week back, right? And we can't go back and change what happened. So show some grace to yourself, right? You might not have done what you wanted to do or executed how you wanted to execute or maintain the habits you wanted to maintain last week. This week is a completely new week, right? So make sure you look at what you can control, take those things under control, take them into your hands and execute on them. Don't blame this person or operate in anger or operate, in disdain or hold grudges or this, that, and the third, right? Recognize this is the goal that I want to get to. This is how I get to it. Everything else doesn't matter, gets pushed to the top, to the side. Time for me to execute, right? So let's go in and don't let any intrusive thoughts or anything hold you back from what's meant for you. And let's crush it this week. Put one foot in front of the other. All right, everybody. Let's have a great rest of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.